What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys either like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all, welcome to part 2 of the psychological warfare of gig apps. Today we are going to be discussing the customer perspective. In part 1, we discovered the driver perspective, and if you guys have not seen that video, I highly suggest that you check that video out first, and then you can come back to this video. Now, as we discussed in the first part, gig apps came into the picture in the early 2010s. They were advertised to help the busy person, providing convenience when needed. Of course, food delivery wasn't anything new, but apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats took it to another level. Instead of being limited to only your local pizza or Chinese spot, you could now start ordering from your favorite sit-down restaurants and even fast food. Eventually, it expanded to groceries, retail stores, and now just about anything that you can grab by just walking into a store can be delivered to your doorstep same day. Sounds like a dream come true, right? Convenience at your fingertips. Well, yes and no. Getting just about anything delivered to your doorstep is great and all, but it is at a cost. So let's start with the fees. Do you really know the point in all these fees that you're paying? There's no transparency. So for one, the items that you're purchasing, they're more than likely going to be marked up in price. So that burger that you would normally pay $10 is now going to be marked up to $11, $12, maybe even more. Of course, you get charged your taxes, but then you have your delivery fees and then the service fees. And then you have the option to tip your driver. So when everything is all said and done, that burger that you would normally pay $10 for if you were to go in person is now pushing $20, maybe even $25 to get it delivered. But that's the cost of luxury, right? I do consider these apps to be a luxury, but should it really cost that much? Some of the apps, they might say, you know what, you're right. Let's go ahead and offer you some deals. And these deals can come in many forms. Recently, T-Mobile and DoorDash partnered together, so now T-Mobile customers can get a subscription of Dash Pass for free. Dash Pass gives DoorDash customers 0 delivery fees and reduced service fees on top of some other perks. And free delivery sounds great, right? Well, every now and then you are also going to see some promos for free delivery. Sometimes there's a catch, sometimes there isn't. Maybe you need to spend a certain amount to get free delivery. And I think we've all fallen for this. You could be doing some shopping online and then you see that banner comes up, spend $15 more to waive that $10 shipping fee. It's like you're gonna be getting something extra for free, right? That's how the math is mathing. Even with some of the terminology, don't miss out, limited time offer, deals, in big bold letters. It's to make you feel like you're saving money by spending more money. Just like with the drivers, creating that fear of missing out. You know, buy this now because I might not be able to get it at the same price later on. Now, how you spend your money is in your control. What about factors that you can't control? Getting your order batched with other orders may be a concept that some customers may or may not understand. As a driver, we don't have control over this. This is an algorithm that pushes these orders to the drivers, and sometimes they bundle orders together to save some money. We can refuse those bundled orders, but your order is just gonna bounce around, maybe as a single, maybe as a double, maybe as a triple. It's just gonna keep getting bounced around until somebody accepts it. And guess what? That might still happen even if you pay for priority delivery, which is another cash grab. So your order could still be bundled with some other people, but yours might be first to go out. That's the priority that you get. Now, since the majority of the orders that are bundled together, they're bundled to make them more appealing, sometimes if you did tip well on your order, you might get screwed over and get bundled with a non-tipper or somebody that just has a ridiculous order. For myself, on multiple occasions when I was doing Instacart, I found that there would be that one good person in a batch that tipped very well, and there would be a non-tipper on that same batch that ordered twice the amount as the good tipper. Even seeing orders with one single item grouped with 2 other people who had a decent number of items. Imagine being that customer with one item. Say you forgot to get something that you needed to cook for dinner. You decided to go and use Instacart. So you pay for priority delivery, but your order has taken over an hour to get to you. That's because that driver had to shop for 2 more people that had about 20 items apiece. You literally could have just saved yourself some money and saved yourself the headache and went and got that item yourself. But this is not your fault. This is what the app does to save money. So in cases with food delivery, this is probably why your food is cold by the time it actually reaches you. Or worst case scenario, you had a driver that was not paying attention and they ended up delivering the wrong order to you. So now what do you have to do? You got to call support, right? Well, good luck dealing with customer support because, yeah, they can be a hassle to deal with. If you're lucky, you can go ahead and get yourself a refund, either credit it back to your card or as credits to use on the platform if you want to place another order, for instance. Now, some people have reported some issues getting refunds. They might be more willing to give you credits instead of just giving you your money back. They'll say, sorry for the inconvenience, but here's a $10 credit that you can use on a future purchase. All to get you to spend more money on the platform, even after you had a bad experience. And speaking of credit, apps are now partnering with buy now, pay later platforms. And I actually did do a video breaking down that partnership between DoorDash and Klarna if you guys want to check it out. But clearly these apps care more about squeezing every single penny out of you, even when you technically don't even have it. Completely predatory in my opinion. There are too many people that do not have self-control and will abuse this. But that's irrelevant to them. They're getting their money at the end of the day, right? And that's the issue that I have with these apps. There's nothing wrong with convenience. Even I use the apps from time to time, but I have cut back a lot. It's become an unnecessary expense for me. And in this economy, I'm trying to save as much money as I can. But instead of making convenience a priority, they have prioritized their profits. They're providing bare minimum customer satisfaction, just enough to keep people coming back. And of course, the fees on top of fees on top of fees. I still remember when I was going into the office a few years ago and I was charged a Chicago fee on the DoorDash platform. Like, what even is that? So again, there's nothing wrong with utilizing these apps. The point of convenience is to make things easier for you when you're just up to your neck and you're just too busy to do some of the simplest things. Get your dinner, get groceries, whatever it may be. But do not give into desperation because that's what they feed off of. You had a rough day at work, you're having car trouble, kids are just running around acting a fool, driving you crazy. It's so easy to just pick up this phone and just place an order for delivery because it's one less thing that you have to worry about. So with the combination of life just lifing and some of these apps traps that they set out for you, you know, it's just easier for them to lure you in. It just makes you feel like this is the norm and you just get comfortable getting everything delivered to you. So be wary of some of these things and use these apps wisely. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for this video. So that concludes this 2-parter psychological warfare of the gig apps. Things that they don't tell you, how they play with your mind, how they play with your emotions. You know, all these things that people don't necessarily think about on a regular. You know, as a customer, we're using these apps for convenience. As drivers, you know, we're using it to make money. You know, whatever your reason is, there is a lot more behind it than what it seems. And I'm hoping that these 2 videos put things into perspective for both sides. You know, I feel like drivers and customers alike, we do a lot of finger pointing at each other. And I'm guilty of that myself as well. You know, as a driver, you know, I want people to tip. I want people to be more appreciative of what I do and just show respect. You know, as a customer, I want my driver to, you know, follow instructions, not half-ass the delivery, leave my delivery in front of the door so I don't bump my order and spill my drink, whatever it may be. You know, these are all reasonable requests, but understanding what the other side goes through makes you realize that they aren't the enemy. Not to say that we should boycott apps. We shouldn't use them. We shouldn't drive for them. You know, they do serve a purpose, okay? Like I said, whether you're a customer or a driver. But being aware of some of the shady practices that are on the back end that you may or may not have been aware of prior to these videos. Understanding that is going to make you think of these apps differently, and as a result will probably make you use these apps differently. So like I said, as a driver, you know, you might try to navigate some things a little bit better. You may not fall for some of these promos, incentives, you know, certain things that they try to trick you to go ahead and get you to take certain orders. As a customer, you're also seeing how they're taking more money out of your pocket and you might not even realize it. And just understanding that there are a lot of things that are not in the driver's control. Just be wary of it. You know, like I said, not to say don't use the apps. You know, they're there for convenience. Use them wisely, and just be aware that, like I said, we're not each other's enemies. If anything, I would say we need to show these apps that they need us more than we need them. So just try to pay a little bit more attention. You know, some of these things, like I said, you may not have noticed before, but now when you start paying attention, you're gonna be like, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. So, but yeah, guys, let me know what you thought. Let me know, how do you feel as a customer? How do you feel as a driver? Have any of these examples change your perspective on just how gig apps work? So just let me know in the comments below. But before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.